Operating Officer for the Stafford Boxing Club Incorporated, our nonprofit organization, which is a yearly mentoring program for at-risk youth in the community.
So we will be able to teach financial literacy, communication, discipline, decision-making, as well as campaigning for a premium education.
These are the foundation for the Stafford Boxing Club, these 20 mentees in our program here at Panola Way Elementary School. 20 years from now, Stafford Boxing mentees will be known across the world.
Hello and welcome to the Stafford Boxing Report. You all know who I am. I'm Lady Stafford.
I'm Stafford. Stafford Boxing.
The making of champions. What's going on, everybody? Happy to have everybody here. Hello. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Okay.
All right, everybody. So today is Black History Month.
Big facts.
And there is somebody who I really adore. And his name is Frederick Douglass. And one of the main reasons why...
I was just about to ask you, why did you choose Frederick Douglass?
The reason why I chose Frederick Douglass was, well, one of the main reasons was because he did everything that he had to do to get an education. He was a slave. His mom was a slave. His dad was a white man. And at a young age, he knew that slavery was wrong. So he was always being moved to one plantation to another plantation. But it was one. And the woman of the house, her name is Sophia. She helped him with this foundation of learning how to recite the alphabet and to do some basic writing. But once the man of the house found out, all that had to come to an end. So he ended up moving him to another place where the man of the house was known for breaking the slaves. But that still did not stop him. He used to also read the Bible to the other slaves. He was trying to help other slaves as well. But he also was able to watch white children. He bribed some of the white children. And then no matter where he was working, he would use chalk. He would write on a board. He would write on logs, whatever he could find. He used those resources that we may take for granted to constantly write, and whenever he could read. He was a leader. He was also an activist for the women's right to vote. He was an author as well as a speaker. So that's why I chose Frederick Douglass. Education is key, and he did whatever he needed to do to get it.
You know, Frederick Douglass also had a newspaper that he created, I think, one of the first newspapers. So he was also a businessman. He was also a good friend of the late President Abraham Lincoln. And Frederick Douglass is the epitome of overcoming obstacles, making something out of nothing. And I believe that he was a great leader as well. A lot of people criticize him later on in his life, but like prior to getting to that point, he set the tone. He was a conservative as well. And so by him being a conservative, he was able to move a lot of Black people mindset to focus on big things. And I think that in our country, in our community, I think that we have lost track of those who have gone and done significant and extraordinary things under extraordinary pressure. And one of the things about a diamond is that a diamond must go through pressure. I am, very disappointed in how we have not capitalized off the sacrifices of our ancestors, as Sheila has equated to Frederick Douglass. It's a plethora of Black leaders, men and women, who have made a huge contributions to the equal rights that we have here in America. I know many Black Americans may say that, America is not a good place, and this, and you have a lot of issues with the police brutality and etc. But if you go to any other country, you would quickly realize that if you are a Black person and if your family don't have resources or didn't come from a line where it was wealth passed down, you will struggle. You will experience a different level of hardship. If you go to Haiti, Jamaica, certain parts of Jamaica, Haiti, if you go to Africa, I was speaking with a young man who, him and his family, Brandon, at the gym, the big guy, him and his family had went to Africa.
Okay.
And so he come back with a different tone. He was talking totally different. And I asked him, I said, Brandon, what was the most significant thing that you saw in Africa that made you realize how fortunate you were to be an American citizen? He was like, Stafford, I ain't gonna lie, man. When I went there, he was like, there is no government. Like we have like government assistance and all that other type stuff. He was like, Stanford, it was on a whole nother level. When I say poverty, it's the word that he used was slums. He was like, Stafford, a lot of the girls, the young girls, they were not, they had to resort to prostitution just to survive. You looking at a man, his daughters, and the man don't have none, the father don't have none. So the other alternative for this young girl to be able to survive is prostitution. Whereas here in America, prostitution is a choice. That's my humble opinion. It's a choice. I think for women, there are so many resources and opportunities and programs, initiative to help you making a mark in a positive way. And I think sometimes, Sheila, man, we African Americans, Black Americans, Negroes, Blacks, whatever you want to, label yourself, I think we really take a lot of our freedom for granted. What do you think about that?
I think a lot about it. I don't think, like you said, that when Frederick Douglass, like you said, made a way out of nothing, he used whatever he could use to educate himself. And there should be no excuse. We have social media platforms, we have the internet, we have YouTube, we have so many things and we have the library. We do. We have the library. And I do believe that even though you have to go, you have to give them you have to have an ID and a few other things. But I truly believe that if you are in a situation and you cannot get a library card because maybe you don't have a place to stay, like a residence, I do believe that you can still get some type of help. Or even if you don't have a residence, still go to the library. And if you have to stay there all day. There is a way that you can do what you need to do and or what you want to do.
You can't make no excuses.
There is no time for any excuses.
And now I will admit, there is racism. There is a thing called systemic racism. There is, you got bad apples in each race. You got black on black crime. You got white against black. You got, Hispanics against Hispanics. You got white against white. I mean, there are bad people in every race. And I do believe, in my humble opinion, as a Black American, Negro, African American, there are challenges that one face when trying to accomplish your dreams and goals. But anything in life, you're going to have to face some hardship. And I think that those hardship trials are designed to build character. As you and I are determined to make sure that all the kids that are in our program shine like a diamond, demonstrate a champion characteristic. champion character. You know, not only in their dealings with us, but you know, in their homes, in the community, in school. Like we are very serious about our program. We devote a lot of our times. We go out here in the community. We ask other organizations to support our cause because a lot of the kids in our program come from, you know, single parent homes, mother having a very difficult time with rent, the cost of living is skyrocket, inflation, food, etc. And so, man, we see the struggle and we are a part of the struggle. And so when we identify this, we are committed to making sure that the Stafford Boxing Club try to fill in a gap where the leadership is needed to help inspire and motivate the kids that, you know what, yes, we may be going through this right now, but the boxing mentality is have a strong mind that you don't make decisions that will affect your education. Because Sheila, you know, when we were going to school, if you got in trouble, I don't think that it it went with you from one level to another. I think that once you got in trouble, it stayed in that particular school. Let's say, for instance, if you got in trouble in middle school, then your record I don't remember having a record.
I know.
Now, if
Not
you,
for me.
yeah, I think recently they just started that,
Yeah.
where if you get in trouble. Uh, in middle school, it carries on to high school. And so, like, if you have a disciplinary problem, then once you go to the next level, it will be already documented on your file that this is that and this is that. And, you know, Sheila, you know, lately I have been seeing some disturbing videos on social media.
With kids fighting.
Yeah, man, like I just, and I'm just tired of seeing black kids fight for no reason, bro. Being disrespectful to the driver, want to fight the driver. Then it was something that I read about the teachers union in Georgia. The reason why there is a shortage of teachers in the state of Georgia is one, security. You know, the teachers feel like going to school, or excuse me, being a teacher in DeKalb, Gwinnett, Atlanta Public School,
safe.
Fulton County, it's not safe. So they weighing, okay, is being a teacher, you know, far as
Yeah.
is it worth
it? Is it worth losing my life?
Not only that, the pay is not what it should be for these teachers. Then the teachers have to teach with little resources, but I only talk about us, you know, and, you know, particularly myself and how I fell in love with the library. And I started reading books, self-educating myself about so many things. And I come from a very, you know, unorthodox background. Let me just say that. And for me, having access to the library allowed me to escape from a mental standpoint, where I began to dream outside of the box that I was currently living in. I'm from the hood. I'm from this environment. I didn't seen it all. Everything you can possibly name, I didn't seen it. However, like Sheila was talking about, Frederick Douglass, he was willing to sacrifice his life for an education, meaning like the slave master wife was teaching him about, you know, the alphabets, etc. So
and he used to get beat real bad too.
You
It
see
was
what I'm
like
saying?
every day or every other day he was getting beat. But I'm not saying for you and during that time when you were going to the library that it was easy, but I would say was a smidget more easier during that time than it is during this time, because you got to understand the parents are younger, the grandparents are younger, and then it's the whole thing with social media, the whole thing with TV. It's like nobody, I'm not going to say nobody, it's some parents, some people in the community. It seems like the majority of the people are just so into this entertainment. It's the music, it's the people that they look up to. They idolize these people. They want what they have because it's materialistic. They have the money, they have the men, they have the girls. even having trains on you is a big thing with these women now.
Hold on. So when you say trains, I think you need to let people know what you mean by a train.
The train is when a woman allows more than one man to have sex with her, and it's just back to back to back. I saw a video on it, and it was like 15 guys, and it was just this one girl. So if you listen to the music, okay, these women who are married sell these unrealistic things to even the women, the grown women. So they say things like, I let them run a train, or there's so many men out here, I'm not going to cry over this one. Of course we don't want you to cry, but then you're like, you're advertising that you can be with so many men. You have these women that are advertising how many players, basketball players, that they've run through. So we're not, not we, but some of us glorify that because it's like a woman's right. Yes, it's your body. You can do whatever it is you want to do with your body, but what about the kids, the youth?
Preach.
Now? So now some of us are raising young girls to be prostitutes. I'm just going to keep it real with you. We're raising young boys to not have respect for women, not even respecting themselves. So the thing is, okay, well, if I'm in a relationship, I'm going to sleep with him anyway. Okay, well, this is what I want to say. Of course, we know all of us won't wait until we get married. It just is what it is. We get it. But I would like to at least think that if you do sleep with somebody and you're in a relationship with them, you're sleeping with them because I really like this person and I do want to be with them. You're not sleeping with them because of the money, but now you all use an excuse, well, I'm going to sleep with them anyway, so I might as well get what I want. Well, that is prostitution. And then I be seeing these young girls and these young boys doing these grown dances, and then y'all are allowing them to listen to this grown music. If you want to say this, check this out. During our time, right? And even back then, when a man or a woman was talking about love or making love to a man or a woman, at least they would start off slow. It'll be some type of foreplay. Then it'll be when they actually make love. And then they'll talk about after whether if they left them or if they were staying together or how I'm in love. If you want to talk about the gangster music, they would say what it is, what they're going to do, or what has happened, or what's going on, but then they would rap about the consequences to it. Now it's just like, this is what I'm going to do. And that's it. There's no consequences to it. So
it's consequences.
No, I'm talking about they're not singing or rapping or if they're an actor entertaining to the consequences. So everybody has an idol. They're idolizing all these entertainers. And let me tell you, to any of the entertainers, nobody's putting you all down. Nobody's calling anybody out specifically. We're just saying that when you get to a certain point in your life, there are certain things that you should know better that you should not do. Because one entertainer said, well, it's not my responsibility. Those are your children. Incorrect. It is your responsibility, but it is also our responsibility. But at the end of the day, we always don't know what our kids are going to do once they leave our house.
So I agree, but I disagree.
Okay.
The disagreement that I have with when you said that it was easier.
I didn't say it was easier. I said just like a smidgen.
No, listen. Every generation have its challenges.
Yeah.
Right? So this generation, the internet may be their kryptonite. Right? Yeah. And our generation, what was it? We had
we barely was just getting it. We were just getting on the Yeah, we were just had the AOL. Then after the AOL, what was after the AOL? Because remember, first we had beepers, then we had the cell phones. But in order to have the cell phone, you had to have money because they were the big ones, and the majority of them were always somebody that owned a car. Then after that, then we started getting those cell phones, but the cell phones, you couldn't really do anything with them. So then after you had the cell phones, you had the one where I forgot what you call it, but you could do that beep, beep, beep.
Okay. This is what I mean. So in our generation, we didn't have all that, right?
Right, but we still had some stuff going on.
However, our community, like they say, product of your environment.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have any outlet in terms of the internet like we have today, exposure, we was confined to what was going on in that circle, and that's the only far we saw. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that, to me, that is challenging. And I agree with you. You're right. The more challenging now is the internet. You have more exposure to so many things. But the challenge that we faced was that we were in this little box, and that's all we thought. And so we didn't think outside the box. So you have different generations with different problems, but at the same time, the same things still apply to each generation. Meaning, like, do you have what it takes to sustain yourself from the power of the internet, the power of your environment to rise up? And when I think about someone who pulled himself by the bootstrap, Frederick Douglass. You see what I'm saying? And I think that today time, our community is not mentally strong.
No.
And our spirits are not strong. So I hear so many people talking about, I'm listening to this person and I'm listening to this person, but I never hear people talking about, hey man, I'm reading my word, I'm studying my Bible, or if you're a Muslim, I'm studying the Quran, or if you're Jewish, hey, the Jewish people in their community, they doing their thing. You know what I mean? And so yesterday was the Grammys, and so Takeoff. No, excuse me. God bless him. God bless. My bad. Quavo and Offset had a physical altercation, allegedly, in the in backstage of the Grammy. It was like, the people wanted Offset to perform the song that Quavo had dedicated to Takeoff. However, I also saw the podcast show from $1 Million Worth of Game with Gilly and Wallow. And they were interviewing Jay Prince and Jay Prince's son, and I think a family member named Mike Prince. I don't know the relationship to them. But Jay Prince, man, that wasn't a good look, bro. Wallow and Gilly, that wasn't a good look, bro. That was the worst podcast show that I have ever seen from $1 Million Worth of Game. I saw an arrogant man. I saw a very prideful man. I saw a man that claimed to have compassion. You got to understand, this is a homicide. This is a murder that has happened. And so now they trying to use self-defense as the exit to get up out this situation. And it's like, I think that we as a community, man, is doing, man, we doing ourselves so bad, man, that we're not giving our future, meaning our kids, hope. It's self-inflicting after self-inflicting issues and things, and we killing ourselves, man. And I was very disappointed in Jay Prince, because you a man of God. You say you read the Bible. You say you're a praying man. The scripture say pride comes before the fall and humility comes before the promotion. There was no humility in that. I don't even know why, but you know what? Wallow and Gilly, and Gilly, they signed a multi-million-dollar deal with Barstool. Barstool, I think you should take that episode down. I mean, think about Takeoff family, his mother. So Jay Prince talking about, well, I talked to P, and P First of all, P is the CEO of a record label. Takeoff was an artist. There's a different relationship compared to his mother and his family, his father. You see what I'm saying? You didn't speak to the parents. And for me, I feel some type of way because I went above and beyond to get your book, The Art of Respect, in the bookstores at Georgia State University. And now I'm feeling some type of way. Not once did you reach out and say, "Hey man, thank you so much." I was in contact with your PR lady, the white lady. I can't remember her name, but that's that arrogance. I saw no humility. I saw no God. All the videos that you've been putting out, and then what you try to do is manipulate the mind. So in other words, a person will see a video, but then you come on and you'll say, well, that's not really what you saw. Oh, well, the internet has a way of twisting things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We saw what we saw, bruh. Folks not no fool. The other thing is, you talk about where Quavo went to Fifth Ward and y'all just walked around with no entourage. Now, I'm from Houston. Now, Houston is big. You can be on first of all, you got A-Leaf, you got Mo City, you got Harm Clark, you got Sunnyside, you got Third Ward, you got Fifth Ward, you got the East Side with over there, Uvalde, you got Stafford, Texas. Houston is extremely big. Now, Fifth Ward is your domains, is your stepping ground. But for you to say that you the voice for the H-Town, I don't know. I don't know, because I know that when I was living in Houston, like, you didn't have that type of influence on the South Side. You had it in Fifth Ward, but not on the South Side. I was living in Houston when the North Side and the South Side were killing each other. It was very tragic. I've seen it. So, and then Jay Prince, you end up making a threat, man. You supposed to be the OG, bruh. And then allegedly you heard someone say that Takeoff was saying something about assaulting you or doing some type of bodily harm to you, allegedly. But bro, you can pick up the phone and call that man, bro. You're supposed to be a role model, bro.
Can I give my opinion on that?
Yeah, go please.
If you look at the hat that they're wearing, it says mob ties.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, that's how he's trying to come out, like have this
John
whole mob
like
thing.
big mafioso,
and then the other
bro.
thing is he has people that do fear him, and that's not right. And like you said, that is not God at all.
You couldn't go to Dallas with that. You couldn't go to San Antonio. You couldn't go to Austin with none of that.
And you can't act that way, because if you say that you're a man of God, then you are held to a higher responsibility.
Much given, much required. You know the scripture.
To the whole community and around the world. You have to be careful of what it is that you are saying. Because me personally, I could not do business. I would not even have a fighter fight any of his fighters. I couldn't do that.
Jay Prince, man, I don't know, bro. Like,
and our kids cannot read that book.
No. At first, I was campaigning for our kids to read that book, but lately the videos that you've been a part of, and and you talk and this, and it's like you coming off as a bully, bro. You know what I mean? And if you read the word of God, you will see clearly that every person who thought they was bigger than God and the people of God, God eventually humbled them, took everything away from them, bro. I mean, this to me was and then, bro, you bring the police report on a podcast show, man. Like, that's not respect, bro. That's not honoring the dead, bro. You bringing this up to try to clear your name or clear your son's name for the involvement, allegedly, that he was a part of. At the end of the day, this was your son's event. And so by Takeoff and Quavo coming down there, and I seen it. I seen the video like 2-3 times, and I was like, crazy. Now, I saw what I saw. And you cannot tell me anything different, because I'm a very intelligent black man. You can't finesse me with that buffale, bro. That's cap, man. And Wallow and Gilly, bro, y'all should be ashamed for that, bro. Y'all should be ashamed. And Wallow, you supposed to be the motivating guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I listen to your motivational skits on YouTube. I understand about you spending 20 years in prison, etc. And then Gilly and Wallow, especially Gilly, the way that you were talking, bro, it sounded like, bro, you was scared of the man, bro. You feel what I'm saying? Bro, you supposed to be from Philadelphia. And one thing that I know about Philadelphia, bro, that's a blue collar city. And man, them folk, bro, is serious, bro. You feel what I'm saying? And man, I couldn't understand that, bro. Like, you was scared and all this other type stuff, bro. So to me, bro, that big cap, bro. You know what I mean? And for you to allow this man to come on the $1 million worth of game, I don't know what game that you was putting on that episode. I don't know. You feel what I'm saying? Now you got immature people talking about, yeah, Maltai. First of all, the name Maltai, just like when Irv Gotti and them had Murder Inc. Guess what happened with that? They got raided by the FBI. So in other words, your words are powerful. You know that, Jay Prince. You know the word of God. You know that, bruh. And bruh, you acting like you invincible, bruh. I mean, bruh, for you to bring the police report and then you pimping Gilly, telling him, hey man, won't you read it? I'm like, bruh, and Gilly gonna read, well, what part? Gilly, come on, bruh. Come on, bruh. Come on, bruh. That is a violation. That is no respect for the dead, bruh. We dealing with an open case. And you come on, I mean, I would assume you would have got some type of legal advice of saying, hey, don't talk about that because it's under investigation.
But you know what? Apparently, right now, Jay Prince can just do whatever he wants to do whenever he wants to do, but all things do eventually come to an end. So we don't need to be learning from this situation right
at all,
here.
bro.
It's
at
not
all.
a good situation.
It's not a good look for
that's
the
not
black
how you
community,
do great.
bro.
That's not even great networking. Believe me.
That's cap, bro. That's cap, bro. And
you
then
do yourself an injustice.
And then that's, you coming on, you showing, and I'm not gonna lie, I love the Ghetto Boys. I grew up on Ghetto Boys. That's Outkast and Ghetto Boys are like my two favorite groups. I mean, and Goody Mob. All three of them, that ain't no.
Peeping in my window, pow, nobody.
Them boys talk with substance, bro. You know what I mean? Goody Mob, Ghetto Boys, Outkast, them boys talk with substance. They ain't talking about, you know what I'm saying? They talking that real gangster, but then they talking about the consequences. They talking about other things too. You feel me? And like, what really, disturbed me was that you go on a podcast show, and I know the sponsors, Amsterdam Vodka, is not co-signing you allowing people to come on a platform and threaten somebody, bro, and make a threat. I mean, come on, Jay Prince, you saying that you heard that you got people ears, to the streets, and they told you. And so if you talk to Pete, then you need to God doggone be able to talk to God doggone me Offset. Then on top of that, you're going to tell the man, oh, well, because you wasn't there. Well, every family, every group, everyone has issues, bro. You know what I'm saying? Everyone has disagreement. There is no perfect family, bro. But at the end of the day, man, them boys are family, blood at that, bro. So for you to say that Offset shouldn't be, feeling a certain type of way, you don't know the whole story. You just going on with this, that, and that. You know what I mean? So emotions are high. If anything, you should have came on and be like, hey, man, I just want to continue to lift them up in prayer, man. You know what? Because it's an open investigation, I really don't want to talk about this. But that's not you. You feel like you the big dog. You know what I'm saying? You want that type of respect. But it's a lot of stuff now. Josh Prince, he a player. You don't never see him. He in a backdrop. He always, he stay out the way. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, he's a part of that because his last name is Prince. And I know he gonna ride with his family. But Josh is a good dude, bro. You feel what I'm saying? I ride with Josh. I say my opinion about Jay Prince Jr., you know what I'm saying, for another day, another time. But I'm not here to talk about nobody, this, that, and that, to the third. I'm just saying, as a leader, in the community that has a reputable reputation, outstanding face card. Like, my face card is A1. You get what I'm saying? From Congress to the streets, to the pulpit, to the school system. And I ain't doing no rapping. I ain't entertaining nobody. I ain't playing no ball or nothing. It's just straight getting it out the mud, man. But, I'm tired of these kids. On another note, I'm tired of these kids fighting, Sheila. You hear me?
Yeah.
Is that a good look, babe? You tell me, cause I want to know. You tell me as a black woman, when you see these black kids threatening the bus driver to come pick them up, when me and you done saw these videos where these kids was walking like 10 miles one way to go to school to sit in his room, and they were going to school just to be able to drink some powdered milk because they ain't had no food. And when they was crossing the river to go on the other side.
And sometimes they're on cliffs.
They on cliffs. They climbing to go to school, and yet the bus come pick them up, and then they fight. And then, man, you got these little kids talking about, yeah, I'm different. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm about that life. You feel me? You know what I'm saying?
How can you be about that life and you haven't even lived life like that? It's disappointing.
We should be ashamed of ourselves,
it's just too much of the bad influence.
That's why,
bad influence.
Boy, we do not play with these kids in the Stafford Boxing Club, because, boy, I don't play. It's yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. If you ain't doing, but you stay here. They know I don't play. I don't even play the internet radio, boy. That is no cappuccino, bro. I don't play. Boy, me and this woman here, we do not play when it comes to these kids. You can't play with them, man. And then now it's like the older generation trying to act like the new generation to be your partner. Hey, bro, listen, I ain't trying to be young. I'm an elder now. You feel what I'm saying? I want my respect. I demand it. I earn it. I'm going to give you your respect. But when you in my presence, in my circle, in my donut, oh, bro, you got to come with it, bro. No cap. You got to come with it. And I'm just tired of, it seems like we are devaluing education. So when we do have black activists to protest about, hey, man, we need more resources in our community. And, the government like, well, what are y'all doing? Well, you got a high crime rate here, there. You know what I'm saying? Yes, we live in a systemic system. I mean, we do.
The teachers can only do
so
much.
Bro. I mean, at some point, man, and baby, listen, we be talking about, now, I'm going to use my situation. Man, listen. I grew up in foster homes, group homes, TYC. If you don't know what TYC is, Texas Youth Commission, I was bound over to that. I was really bad. I was really about that life. Matter of fact, ask Charleston White about TYC. You know what I'm saying? He'll let you know. I was part of that. And you know what? TYC gave me an opportunity to use the resources to get my life together, bro. Because in all actuality, I was one step from going to the youth penitentiary. I was getting in so much trouble that Texas Department of Juvenile Justice told me, they say, hey, man, look, bro, we binding you over to TYC. And they had shackled me, shackled my feet, put me in this custom-made vehicle, drove me to Nacogdoches, Texas, baby. Mm-hmm. Stopped at Whataburger, had a Whataburger and some fries in the Coke. I went to, it's called, it's a place where they hold you and they decide what they gonna do with you. And so we ain't good now. I ain't gonna lie, baby. We ain't good. But they said, where you want to go? I said, man, send me back to the H-Town, man. I told them that. They said, all right, we're going to reach out to these residential treatment centers, co-ed. They got boys and girls. So they came to me. They called me in the conference room. They say, well, this center denied you. All right, boom. They called me back in a couple days later. Said this one denied you. Went back, denied me. I got denied 4 times. They said it's one more center in Texas, in Houston, that we're gonna reach out to, and if they don't accept you, you're going across the street to the youth penitentiary. And I'm talking about it's the penitentiary, man, for youth offenders. And man, I got on my knees, I prayed, I said, Lord, please, I don't want to go to that youth penitentiary, bro. I'm talking about you got the guy in the tower with the gun, you got them boys in white suit with the blue stripe, they walking in a single file line. Oh, it's serious. I'm talking about barbed wire fences. I mean, it's a youth penitentiary. But God, Lord Jesus, help me. He saw something in me and he spared me. But at the same time, I had to make a decision that I don't want to go down that road. So when I see these kids doing this crazy stuff, I'm like, bro, do you know what awaits you? They think it's a game. And then next thing you know, when you get up in front of that judge,
they're gonna be crying.
Please. No, you should have thought about that. You know what I'm saying? Now you finna go to the chain game. Now you ain't no your partners or you're gonna have to go get a stick. Nah, bro, you gonna have to go strap up. And when I mean strap up, you gonna have to tie your shoes, you gonna have to go up in that cell, you gonna have to put it down with them boys, man. It's real. So man, that's why we are very passionate about education. We know, both of us know what education has done for us. Both of us know what a library can do for you. It is the most resourceful thing in your community. Every kid in the Stafford boxing program, they got a library card. That's a requirement. You don't have no library card, man, you ain't part of this here, man. Cause we teaching them how to go get that knowledge. So like back in the day, dude used to put some work in your hand, tell you go get some money. You feel what I'm saying? We don't do that. We put a library in your car and tell you, hey, you better go get that knowledge. See what I'm saying? So that knowledge gonna help you how to get that money. It's gonna tell you how to maintain it. It's gonna tell you how to grow it. It's gonna tell you from other people's testimonies. The scriptures say we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word in our testimony. So when you read people's biographies, that's their testimony.
Yeah, it sure is.
So I see you wrote a note. So, okay, yeah, go ahead and tap on that, babe.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say, because I was going to say this before, that you are a walking testimony for the younger generation and our generation and the older generation to do what needs to be done and for it to be done properly. So, you're...
Baby, don't do that. Don't do that.
So now we are talking about promoters. Are promoters fair? And what I do want to start off with is some of the responsibilities that the promoters have. So we have the promoters, we have the matchmaker, and then we have the manager.
Okay.
So the promoters, we have a big responsibility. Number one, you have to make sure that you go to your state commission's office. Some states may or may not have it, but that would really be the first step. And you can, of course, do that on the internet, which makes it easier. And you also have to research on the state laws, the state law that you live in, or even if you're having it in New York or Nevada and you might live somewhere else, you're still going to have to be familiar with that. And I started reading over and they do have vocabulary words for you. But promoters also have to make sure they have a bond. They have to have the insurance, fill out the application, have to pay the application fee, have to pay for the boxers, the manager, the matchmaker, and everybody. You have to pay for all the fees. You have to have all of that all up front. And then, of course, you have to wait for the commission office to say yes or no. Then, of course, you have to make sure that where you're going to have the fight at. And of course, if you're just starting out, you can have it at a club, you can have it at a bar. Also, you can have it at your local gym. And you have to make sure that the venue is also paid for. You have to make sure about the capacity, because when you sell the tickets, you don't want to, be over that, because then that way, if you do, then you're going to have to pay a fine for that. And you have to make sure that you pay for the ring. The ring has to be a certain size. It has to be not even the certain size, whether it's for amateur or for the professional fight, but it has to be set up a certain way, a number of inches that it has to be from off the ground. You also have to have the spit bucket. You have to have the stools. Make sure you have the tables for the press conference, the chairs for the press conference, everything for that. You also have to hire your staff. So when I say staff, that's like your physician, the judges, the referee, and also the corner man that's going to be making sure that if you have any cuts on your face, and they take care of you and all that other stuff. And you have to have both of that for both fighters, like the stools and the spit buckets and the towels for both of the fighters. So promoters also have to pay everybody as well. The physician, even for the EMTs, just in case something happens, they have to have a spot just in case something happens. It's a lot that the promoter has to go through, as well as promoting the fight, marketing the fight, advertising for the fight, making sure that the tickets are being sold. And also, is it going to be televised? Negotiations for that as well. Now, some promoters might do the matchmaking, but if you do, there's a website that you can actually go to where you can find licensed matchmakers. But for a matchmaker, what they do is they have to read on the opponent to see what their boxing record is, because they have to compare the boxers evenly. That's what they do. Now, the managers also have a big responsibility. They have to make sure that about their training, their interest is with their fighter, making sure that the fighter is getting paid, make sure that the pay is fair. That's what the manager does, with some other responsibilities as well. But it's like, this is my client. This is who I'm responsible for, to make sure everything is going smoothly, and even working out the fights as well.
The promoter also makes sure that paperwork.
Oh yeah. So they have to make sure of all that, because even after the fight, they have to submit receipts to the commission, ticket sales, just everything. So that's the promoter's responsibility. And I didn't go through everything, but that's like the major part. So then those that don't know, that's just some of the responsibilities that the promoter actually has to go through.
Baby, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe, like, who are some of your good promoters that you think are good?
I mean, I think Eddie Hearn. Now, Eddie Hearn has been having a few issues with a few of his boxers. Some of them have left, and that's because of exposure. There's not a lot of exposure being done with them. But then there's something that he is doing that has to be right, because I see him the majority of the time now. It's like Eddie Hearn, Dazn, D-A-Z-N. So I've really been seeing him. I mean, you can always learn from somebody, whether when they make their mistakes and then what they're doing good. And he's also been promoting, like having the fights with females, like the Katie Taylor and the Amanda Serrano fight is definitely going to be on. I would say.
So he's promoting that?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
What about Bob Arum? Do you think he's a good promoter?
Well, I think he is. I don't think he would have been in the game this long if he was not a good promoter. I think, like we talked about before, he has to get a little bit more hip to the now and not stick into the old ways. I think he could be balanced with it. He can still stick with some of the old ways, but then he does have to get hip to the new ways. So I don't see, I mean, I think with certain promoters, like with Terrence, it was like a breach of contract with him. Allegedly, it was a breach of contract and something else. I just think from what I've been seeing with some of the promoters, it's the newer fighters that are having a difficult time getting the exposure and the fights. Some of the promoters are more into the ones that like the heavyweights, like the Ryan Garcia, like the ones that are like they're right there, and it's really not going to take a lot to have to promote them and do all that work. That's what I've been seeing.
Gotcha.
So it's like the newer boxers, they're having an issue. Like Edgar Berlanga, he left with Top Rank.
Oh, he did?
He left with Top Rank because they were just going a little bit too slow with him. I wrote that down. He spoke with Al Heyman, Floyd, and Oscar, and Eddie Hearn.
So what do you think about Oscar De La Hoya as a promoter?
Well, hold on one second. So, yeah, he spoke with them, and Oscar De La Hoya also spoke with Terrence Crawford.
Oh, wow.
He also spoke with Terrence Crawford. Now, Oscar said that he made a tweet, and he actually said that he wants to put the great fights out that the fans want to see. Let's go. I didn't say it word for word. I paraphrased it. Let me just put that out there so we don't get into trouble.
What about Al Heyman? What you think about him?
Okay, now I can kind of see what Rick Glazer was talking about when he was talking with Al, because, all right, so with the Errol and the Terrence, apparently Al allegedly doesn't want to have that fight just in case Errol doesn't win that fight. He'll lose what he already has. And he wanted to sign Terrence Crawford, but Terrence Crawford didn't want to sign with him. And what I also been reading in my research is that a lot of the fighters listen to their promoters because the promoters know what they're doing. They've been in the game and have gotten them to where they first started to where they are now. So it's like the boxers are like, I want to do this. I want to fight this fighter. But if I do, and if it doesn't go right, then the promoter's going to say, see, I told you so. So it's like that fear that they have. And that's another reason why Edgar left too, because he wants to have a decision, be a part of the decision on who he wants to fight. Now, Canelo, he left with Oscar because he wanted his full payment after the fight, and he wanted to have the final say-so of who he was going to fight. Because allegedly, there were things that were being told to the streaming, which is DAZN, that he didn't even know. So there were promises that were being made about him that he really didn't even know. So when Terry Moss said the relationship between the promoter and the fighter is that trust, and the trust has to be the key factor. Now, I had a few, maybe some things that might help. Oh, and also the boxer's purse. When the boxer gets paid, he has to pay the trainer and he has to pay the manager. And the promoter gets 33.3% out of the boxer's purse. That hurts a new boxer, of course, when they're just coming into the game. Now, I did read that in the UK, that a manager will not take any part of the boxer's purse until that boxer is actually making that type of money. So what I was thinking is, and just let me know if this is something that could be done. Now, if you have a trainer and a manager, and say if you have a gym, what about having the trainer and the manager just on a salary? But then when the fight comes, I mean, I mean, is it right? I guess this is what I'm thinking. This is where my mind is thinking, okay, you have an employee and you're paying your employee what that employee is supposed to do, right? So we're not taking any money personally out of their pocket only for taxes because we have to, because if we don't, we're going to get into trouble. So I'm wondering, how can you, or how could we or someone try to take less out of the fighter's purse, especially if they're a new fighter? Like, is there a way that you can actually do that?
Everything is negotiable.
I think why not try?
Everything is negotiable. I just think that both sides have to be comfortable with what's being negotiated. So maybe the promoter can get on the back end. It's ways to work out a situation. You just have to negotiate it. But I think a lot of times these boxers don't have that negotiation skill at this juncture of the journey. They're new to it, etc. They're trying to get out of a very hardship position because becoming a fighter a prize fighter is very difficult, and you have to dedicate a lot of your time. So you may not have the financial resources that like Canelo or Cruz or some of the other premier household names that we hear about all the time. But Sheila, I wanted to say that, man, I really love your research and your detail to your craft. I see that you put in a lot of work, and I was being enlightened and educated on some things because we work together and we do different things, but we come together because we won. But just to hear you talk about the description of a promoter and you breaking it down, I was really impressed by that.
And just two other things. So how they make their money, it's a ticket sales, a percentage of the purse money, which that goes to the manager, the sparring partners, and the trainer. And then once again, what I said was the 33.3% goes to the promoter. And also the government also is the biggest winner as well. But Nevada has no income tax. State income tax. And the federal income tax rate is 39.6% of prize winnings. So the government is like the biggest winner of them all. So, I mean, it's just something to think about. But I'm also thinking about the money that the promoter
has to put
up too. So maybe something like this. If you have a new fighter, if there's a way and you have your own gym, because that's some of the percentage of the purse too, that you would to go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a gym, then you don't have to mess with that purse or anything like that. So I'm trying to look out for all the fighters.
Listen, man, if you want a great mouthpiece to negotiate on your behalf, holler at us at Stafford Boxing. The making of champions. That's what we do.
Because we don't believe in taking advantage of anybody. We
do understand it's a business.
It's a business.
You got to make a profit.
Can't be crooked.
But not greed, though.
Yeah, greed.
Yeah.
You can't be greedy with that. But I know that we do have to make a profit. So yeah, it's a lot that goes on with it. Even having to hire the announcer, security. I forgot about the security because you have to make sure that the fans can come in safely and promptly, because that's something else too. Fans do not like, and they will complain about it if they can't get out on time. And there's a lot of traffic if the security isn't directing them correctly. That's something else too. So don't do that. I will call you out.
But I was just trying to make sure it was right, though. See, listen, I'm into details.
Why? What wasn't right? I was doing something.
No, I'll tell you later. Please check what position.
Oh, my bad. Oh, I thought you were sending me a cue or something. I was gonna call you out.
No. But speaking of that, So I want to say this before we wrap it up. Is there anything else you want to talk about? See, listen, let me tell y'all something. So what my wife did, she wrote me a note. She said, hey, I'm going to need to talk about this before we get up out of here. I was like, boom. See, that's teamwork. And I don't have no ill feelings. I ain't mad or nothing like that, baby. Hold me accountable because you put a lot of time into preparing for each episode, each and every episode. And I see the work. You stay up late, 24 hours a day. You get up in the middle of the night. You crank on the light, midnight oil burning. You get into it. So I want to allow you the opportunity to showcase because, you know, you are the host. I'm co-host.
Oh, and let me say one thing just one whole thing before we leave out. So what we would like for you all to do is go on the Stafford Boxing Report Facebook page, and I always put in clips, and we have the link that'll take you straight to Talk and Fight. So you watch it on there. You don't have to watch it on YouTube. It just goes straight to Talk and Fight, their website, and they'll have our podcast there, along with some other podcasts and some teaching and learning tools for everybody as well. And do the same thing on Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn,
Instagram.
Yes, and Instagram. And I will be putting out another blog soon, which is called the Stafford Boxing. It's a blog, and you can just Google that as well. So Talk and Fight is our host, and they do a lot for the communities around the world.
Big fact.
So it's not just about for boxing fans, it's for everybody, because when you think about life and certain situations that we experience, it does go back to boxing.
Hey man, listen, you know what? I was gonna say something,
You
but man,
forgot?
now what you said everything that need to be said.
Okay.
I don't want to override what you said. We're gonna end on your note. You done a great job. I'm proud of you. I love you. Continue to do great work.
Always.
And let's get on up out of here.
Thanks.
And let's get ready for next week. And let's prepare for what other things that we got going on. So you ready to end it?
Yeah, of course.
Stafford Boxing.
The making of champions. Let's go.